Is everyone online supposed to speak?
So I feel like we should do it just in person, so it makes
Yeah,
it like,
it's a little bit easier.
okay.
Okay, so if you're on Zoom or whatever, is anyone on Zoom? Is this a camera?
Yeah.
Am I talking to this?
So the black thing.
Okay, all right, if you're on Zoom, we'll get you later. Okay. So thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. Like, I'm excited for you guys. I wish I would have made the jump into real estate sooner than I did. I wish I would have started buying properties sooner than I did, like, but the faster you kind of get over that and you decide like, you're just gonna be solely responsible for what becomes of your real estate career, the better, you know, so congratulations for getting started, getting in the class. For you guys who have listings and closed deals already, awesome, keep going. This is something that Keller Williams preaches a lot of, and I'm just gonna frame this course with this process, because this is basically your business. Everything else, like everything we're gonna go through in the course, we're gonna talk about data management, we're gonna talk about lead conversion, you know, working open houses, like we're gonna get into nuts and bolts of a lot of stuff. But this is your whole business. It's the whole thing. At Keller Williams, they'll use two expressions all the time. You'll hear Josh say this a lot. My favorite thing about Keller Williams is they use this expression called mind share. And I'm gonna pick on Michael for a second because he's got a t-shirt on, he's got a Lakers shirt on. I say basketball player, you say LeBron James. No, okay, that's, oh God, he's got a Lakers shirt on, okay.
You got it.
So he says LeBron. I thought you were gonna be like Serena and say Kobe. Who's the next one?
I'd say Kobe.
Kobe, okay, after that.
Michael Jordan.
MJ, okay, right after Michael, who?
Kyrie Irving.
Okay, Kyrie, okay. Your job as a real estate agent is to be the first name that comes up when anyone in your social circle says real estate, right? So this expression that I'll use a lot throughout this course, mindshare, is really what it takes to become a successful agent, right? It's how much of someone's mind do you occupy when they think about investing, when they think about real estate, when they think about homes, when they think about interior design, right? If someone's gonna decide whether or not they're gonna install a new sewer line, for some people, I'm the first person they call, right? I occupy the most of their mind, like LeBron did for Michael, right? And so when you think about your sphere of influence and your leads and all these things that we're gonna talk about more today, it's about establishing yourself as a real estate expert, generating new leads, following up with them, and then closing transactions, right? So only this last little piece, transactions, is something that's specific to real estate. All the rest of this stuff in whatever industry you're in, as a real estate, as an expert in whatever your industry was, then you're gonna have to generate leads, you're gonna have to do follow-up. This is, sales can take you all the way to here, right? But that process, what that looks like really is, can you get these people to know you, right? Do they like you? And do they trust you? And then after that, when it comes, this is to closing like transactions. Okay, but this is what you guys really, really, really want. These are clients. You could also call them investors. Okay. This is what I track in my database. How many people do I have that would promote my business, right? I started door knocking effectively as like virtual door knocking. You have to make cold calls and do other things in the commercial space. You can't just go knock on the door, right? That person that's there doesn't own the property more times than not. But this is what you want. If you guys had 1,000 people that you had either done business with or would think of you first when it comes to real estate, you won't have to prospect anymore, right? Like my career, fortunately enough, has gotten to a point where I don't have to make cold calls. I don't have to door knock. That stuff is still very important. It can be very, very valuable. I should probably commit more time to that. But my career is to a point where I get enough people calling me saying, hey, my cousin's gonna sell. Hey, my sister's looking to buy something. Hey, I've inherited this property, whatever, right? So when you look at your business or your ability to develop it, this is all important. We're gonna cover a lot of this, but really like, this is the meat and bones of a long, like successful real estate career, right? So you said 5 or 6 listings, is that what you said?
Yeah,
Okay,
they have to sell.
right, they gotta sell first, right? But if they sell, or if you close a transaction with them, hopefully all the things that you've learned and their experience with you is positive in a way that they'll call you next time, right? That's like the long term, that's the long game, is turning people into promoters. The transaction side is of course so important when you first get started, and it's always important. I should still be prospecting more, and I should do door knocking and do some of that stuff. Because my bucket of people that know me is growing at a slower pace than it was when I first started, right? Like, so right now, if you don't have your license yet, I'm sorry, remind me your name? Ashley, right? How many people know you're in real estate? Just know that you do this.
None.
0,
Yeah.
okay. Now, how many of them,
She said 9.
right, oh, 9 or none?
None.
Yeah, none, 0, okay, right, 0.
Oh, none.
So how many of them also like you? This is 0, right? Okay, are we getting it?
Yeah,
Okay, are we here?
yeah.
Okay,
0.
now let's pick someone else who's been doing this a little bit longer. Me?
Yeah,
How many people know you're in the real estate game?
they're like close friends and family. or
People that
people,
know you and know you
Do it.
do real estate.
40.
Maybe your Facebook thing or whatever. Okay, so 40.
40 people.
Okay. How many of them like you? It's not gonna be all of them.
No, exactly. Probably 30.
Okay. Okay, and how many of them would trust you with what they already know about you to help them buy or sell a property?
20.
20, okay. Okay, and have you done any deals with these people yet?
Yeah.
Okay, and so how many promoters are you gonna say you have?
4.
Okay.
4 or 5.
4 or 5, okay, let's call it 5. Okay. So what if we pump this number up to 80, right? By the same percentages, right, which is like, we're gonna talk about conversion percentages, by the same percentages, then we've got 60 people that like you and 40 people that trust you and 10 promoters or clients that you've done deals with, right? And so here's the crazy part about this, and this part I am good at. The prospecting side, not as much anymore. I'm good about taking these promoters, it's probably the best part of my business, and adding people that know, like, or trust me from this group, right? It's cyclical, they're all related, you can't carve out any one part of this. But when you look at this, the real estate expert piece is like 16 of our 20 sections that we're gonna go through in this course. So like, we're gonna talk about, when you sit in open house, what should you say, what shouldn't you say, right? Like some of those like finer tuned pieces, but the lead generation, the follow-up, the transactions, it all needs to blend into people that you can consider clients, right? That's like the whole name of the game. When you see Josh Altman or someone or whatever, if Josh Altman never picked up the phone again, or Ryan Serhant never sent out another email, they've got a huge, massive career just of people that are gonna call them 2 years later that they helped buy a place, or 10 years later, or whatever, right? Like, if they do no prospecting, it doesn't matter, right? Once you get a big number here, the rest of this already happens. It's automatic. Okay, any questions about this so far? No? Okay, you're like, well, yeah, but how do we go through this and how do we manage it? That's like really what the course is about, right? People that know you is one thing, that's a sphere of influence. You gotta do social media, you gotta be on Facebook, you gotta do all that stuff, right? So that more people can know you. You have to introduce yourself to people when you're out at bars, restaurants, when you're working out, you have to do all that stuff, right? But if you're not tracking this stuff, then you don't actually know what your business is. You're hoping, right? And Josh uses this expression a lot, and I actually really agree with it. It's from an NFL coach, this guy Marvin Lewis. And so Marvin Lewis teaches the rookie symposium. So when rookies get drafted in the NFL, he teaches them how they're supposed to deal with life. You know, some of these kids are 20, 21, they get these big checks, they screw around with the money. And he always says, wait, what's he say? Oh, a plan? No, hold on. A goal without a plan is a wish. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? If you want to make $1 million and you don't have a plan for how you're gonna get there, then you're just kind of hoping. It might happen. Right? Some of you guys are gonna get deals in your first year, 2 years, 3 years that are like big deals. It'll be surprising. It'll close. You might double end it. You'll make more money in one check than you made in the last few years for some of you, right? But if you don't have if you're not following a plan and you don't have a process to convert more of these people to here, more of these people to here, and turn these people into promoters, and that the promoters are gonna launch your real estate career into investing and all these other things, then you're just gonna be wishing. And that's honestly what 90% of the people in the real estate industry do. They get their license, they take a course like Ignite, right? You kind of learn, okay, I gotta do the door knocking, I gotta cold wall. Everyone says I need to be prospecting. And then like, you get closed 1 or 2 deals, and then a year goes by, and you close a couple more deals, and every year is a battle because people are not willing to really, really look at this stuff and be honest with themselves and improve it as fast as they can. So the bad news, right? Right now we have 0, right here. We don't know any of these people. But here's actually the best part about the real estate industry is it's self-taught and self-paced. So there's no reason that you couldn't have 500 people that know you do real estate in like 60 days. There's really no reason other than your willingness to just put yourself out there and do it, right? So like, you might get to 500 people that know you're in real estate faster than me. You know, I don't know what I would consider as like people that know I do real estate, but it's probably like, I would say it's probably like 350 or 400, you know, but it took me too long to get there because I wasn't willing to stick myself out there, right? So these numbers, like just to frame this whole course, be thinking about like how you can improve people that know you. They like you, that's like a little bit more arbitrary. Do they trust you? This has to do with whether or not you're a real estate expert. Any questions about that so far? No? Okay. At Marcus and Millichap, which is basically like the gold standard for prospecting in the real estate industry, you have to make 500 cold calls a week. So if you showed up at Marcus and Millichap, they say, here's your 2,000 unique landlords. Here's a pile of raw data that you probably can't even get from the title in one shot, but 2,000 unique landlords, go. And for most people, when you start a commercial firm like that, that's primarily multifamily, I didn't know anyone growing up that owned apartment buildings. So if I wanted to sell an apartment building, I'm starting here, just like you are today, right? And most of the people that start in the industry know someone that's gonna buy or sell in the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, but you might not in the investment world, right? Show of hands, who knows someone that owns an apartment building? Okay, who knows someone that owns 5 apartment buildings or more? Okay, 10 apartment buildings or more? Okay, now how many of them are there?
He owns half of Koreatown.
Half of Koreatown? Ben Leeds?
Dr. Lee.
Okay, well, this is a miss for me. Dr. Lee's probably in my database, but if we say real estate, Dr. Lee's not gonna call me. Right, and if Dr. Lee lists a building with someone else, Iceland, right, and not me, That's my fault. He doesn't even know me. What are the chances that he's gonna trust me with his listing? Make sense? Okay. Fair enough. All right. Let's flip to the next slide. Six personal perspectives. So we're gonna cover all this stuff, like most of it we're gonna run through today. Some of it I'm gonna touch on a lot more, but basically these are the 6 different perspectives or like rules that you want to try and follow. My favorite one is commit to self-mastery, right? So you can stumble into listings, you can sell property that you don't have experience with or that you're maybe not necessarily qualified for, but I look at this as a 2-pronged approach all the time. One, get your name out there, have conversations with people, get them to trust and understand you. But I said on the last slide that the most important part, right, when it comes to trust, if you're a new person, is do they think you're a real estate expert? Are you qualified to help them do this, right? In LA, we're talking about $2 million, right? That's a ton of money. You do a good job or a bad job, it might be an extra $100,000 for your client, right? So they trusted you. Are you part of a team or did you just?
I'm part of the team.
Okay, who's your like mentor?
Or
Or
leader is
Laura?
Laurent, yeah,
Laurent?
Laurent.
Which, is he in the office next to me? He's in the corner, right?
Yeah, all the way
Okay,
to office.
so did Laurent go to the meeting with you?
No, I actually went on
You
it.
slammed it all by yourself. You knocked on the door, they were like, I do want to sell. Tell me about how that went.
Yeah, I just basically spoke to them, kind of wanted to figure out their willingness to actually sell,
Okay,
and they were
and
all.
why are they sellers? Why are
They're
they sellers?
sellers because they're siblings who inherited the property from their parents.
How long ago?
I want to say probably about 10 years or so.
Oh, wow. Okay, so one of the siblings has been living there the whole time?
Been living there the whole time, and the property's distressed, so they just want to downsize, get rid of it.
Got it. Okay, so who are you gonna sell it to?
Well,
Who's the best buyer in that neighborhood?
I would say, I'm not sure of the best buyer, but I put it on the market and learn to see who, you know. is a good
Who
investor.
buys everything in that neighborhood?
Investors, I would say, or
And how much work does it need?
it needs, not so much work.
Maybe it's.
Interior for sure.
Okay, cosmetic? Are we
Cosmetic,
pulling permits and doing all that?
I would say, yeah. you
Okay,
can-
what permits are you gonna pull?
I wouldn't, I'm pretty sure.
How much is it gonna cost to renovate it?
I'd say roughly about 100.
How much is it gonna sell for per square foot after it's renovated? Okay, I'm being a little picky about it, right? Being a little annoying, right? But you're gonna have one opportunity to make a first impression with this person. They like you, they trust you, you got the listing, right? But you have to do this piece on the front end. You have to get way into the details of that neighborhood, who's buying there, everything about the house, right? Because you put it out on the market for 2 million, it's a little, it still needs some work. Sounds a little expensive, 2,000 square feet, 1,000 square foot. They're gonna need to come in with another couple hundred grand. How are they gonna finance that? Right, like all that stuff is gonna set you up for success later, right? When it's on the market, you're in an open house, the guy says, hey, $2 million, like, don't you think that's a little expensive? All that data and all the mastery, right, that you learned at your own pace, right, as fast as you wanted, is what's gonna prepare you to overcome those objections with pricing, right? So if you don't know like the best comp off the top of your head, there's no one to blame for other than yourself. Does that make sense? Okay, so if you told me 1,000 a square foot, I'd say, yeah, for Beverlywood, that makes sense. Is it in Beverlywood, the HOA?
Yes.
On Sawyer, it is. How much is that HOA a month? What's it cover? Okay, so when are you hitting the market?
I'd say within the next few weeks.
Okay, so you gotta wrap that all up, because some agents in this office, Ben and Zach, that sell a lot in Beverlywood, are gonna have buyers come through there, and they'll tear you up, won't they? If you don't know what's going on in that neighborhood, in that house in the Beverlywood HOA, right? it's not just going to limit your ability to hit a home run for your client. It's gonna restrict your ability to get the deal sold. You know what I mean?
I have a
So,
question.
yeah, go ahead.
So what question is down as far as what you should ask?
Yeah.
So we can know
We're gonna go-
exactly,
We're gonna go through all that, preparing the listing and
Okay.
the sections and stuff. I'm
okay,
just hammering this point because this actually takes care of everything else. Right? Make being learning based the foundation of your action plan. If you just become like a master and expert as fast as you can on whatever portion of this real estate world you're trying to specialize in, then all the rest of this takes care of it.
Yeah.
Right? So we're gonna talk about limiting beliefs. Who can tell me what a limiting belief is?
It's when you have a built-in belief that you can't do it.
Yeah, something in the back of your head that says you're not ready to do this.
yeah, that self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage is a good way to put it, right? So, but like this, self-mastering, all the like digging into the data and the research and all that stuff, it, more than anything, it gives you confidence, right? It's gonna remove your limiting beliefs if you know that you're confident about what you're actually doing, right? Faking it until you make it can get you like so far, right? But sooner or later, you have to be an expert and a master of your product type. Let's see here. Any questions so far? Okay, so the big limiting belief that you guys are gonna come up against in this part, right, is will my family and friends be comfortable using me as their real estate agent? A lot of people think, yeah, of course they will, but overwhelmingly, it's like 95% of new agents, your first deal is gonna come from your social circle, friends or family. Here's the hard part, your friends and family know you're brand new at this, right? So in all likelihood, you're an exception. This is where you're gonna get your first deal from, right? Is from your friends and family. And overwhelmingly, new agents have the hardest time asking for business from friends and family because they know they're new, right? They know that you used to do something else. Why am I gonna let you help me buy a $5 million home? You just got your license, right? So the biggest limiting belief that you need to overcome is your confidence in the knowledge about the real estate market. And that's why this mastery piece is so important. It takes care of absolutely everything. The hard part for every real estate agent is how do you decide how much time you spend mastering real estate and how much time to spend getting to know people and developing this setup,
Right.
right? If I had another 40 hours in the week, I would make double the money. I just don't. I don't have much more time, right? You will get to a point in your career, if you follow all these steps, you just put your head down and go after it, that where you are running into time barriers, right? So Keller Williams has a good setup with this model in the red book and everything, explaining how you get an admin, and when is the right time to build a team, and do you get a buyer's agent? How do we kind of negotiate this and manipulate this so that you can have more time to still focus on business development? Right? They have a good process for it. We're gonna cover it like ad nauseam. Okay? But you will run into this challenge, whether you're doing it part-time because you got a corporate job, right? How am I supposed to get this to 100 people? How am I supposed to get this to 50 people? How am I supposed to do 10 deals next year while I have a full-time job? Right? You got to do this mastery piece outside of your regular hours, right? So time blocking is something we're going to cover. We're going to talk a lot about how you manipulate those hours in that schedule. Okay. Let's talk about the 80-20 real fast. Let's just stay on this one, and I'm just gonna burn through here. So it says basically 20% of your actions produce 80% of your results. So can someone give me an example of how that might work? What about like everyone else in a corporate job? No offense, they used to have a corporate job. How much of that time You know, like, when you're working, like you're gonna take a vacation, the day before you leave for vacation is always like crazy at your job.
Mhm.
Why is it so crazy like that? It's because you know you have these time barriers and constraints, and if you're holding yourself accountable to wrap up everything for the whole week, and it's Wednesday and you're gonna be gone Thursday and Friday, the effectiveness of your time is like multiplied, right? And this says it's multiplied 5x. So for all of the actions for everything that you do, it's gonna end up generating 80% of the results. Meaning, if you can find a way to be more effective, right, with your time, that's gonna lead to you producing more and more and more and more. Learning-based foundation, unlimited beliefs, we talked about that. MVVBP, let's go ahead and flip over to that slide if we can. Burn through that.
Keep going.
Is there not a slide for it?
I think we
This
passed.
one? I
Did we
think you already
pass it?
passed
Yeah.
it. Isn't
Yeah.
it this one?
It was the third one.
No, we're looking for mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspective. No, I don't think so. Let me see where it is in your guys' book. Okay, well, I'm just gonna cover it. We're not there yet. Okay. So this is something you'll also hear a lot, like if Keller Williams is gonna give you like a million acronyms. Just because it's easier to learn that way, and it's easier to understand. So we have mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspective. So basically, this is your roadmap when you first get started. Okay? I'm gonna tell you guys that you should specialize in something, whatever it is, when you first get started. So where were you door knocking, Michael?
Beverly.
In Beverlywood, right? But you're not, it's not like you door knocked Beverlywood one day and then you door knocked West Hollywood the other day, right?
When I started off, I would kind of move around like that, but then I just focused on one area.
Okay, and so how many homes do you have in there?
I'd say 150. I
Okay.
was targeting fixer properties.
Okay, just those in particular, how come?
I had an investor who was interested in that area.
Got it, and is your investor gonna buy your listing?
No, he's pulling out because of interest rates and stuff like that.
Okay, so he's kinda,
Yeah. he's
is it
kinda-
what he does professionally?
No.
Or is
it's
this, it's a side
it's a
gig?
side
for him?
thing, yeah.
Okay, what's his name?
His main thing, he owns a film production company.
Oh, wow, okay, great. So your mission, right? Should you choose to accept or whatever, might be to sell or to get one listing per month. Did you write out your goals to start the year?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was your goal?
My goal was to get at least
Like a listing a month or 3 listings this
three
year?
listing this month.
Okay,
This past
in
month. Yeah.
September, the
In
past
September,
month?
Yeah,
Okay. So what about for the year? What was it?
for the year, I want to average it, so just throughout the year, 3 listings per month throughout that whole year.
36 listings A year?
Three a month.
3 a month, it's 36 a year, right?
It's a year, yeah.
Okay. That's a big,
So how do you come up with this number? How do you make this goal?
well, you start with it and then you outline basically your visions, your values, your beliefs and
Oh, okay.
perspective. And then you have to get here,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So like whatever the goal is going to be, if you wanted to set the goal for $100 million in sales, right? Like even at 36 listings, right? Or let's make this easy, Matt. For 20 listings, right? How much are you gonna have to hit $100 million? How much does each one of these listings need to be?
100 divided by
$5 million, $25 million listings gets you to 100 million, right? That'd be a pretty big year,
Yeah.
right? In listings, right?
Realistic.
Okay, so maybe 2%, you double in some of them, your goal is to make, say, $3.5 million GCI next year, right? I'm gonna tell you that that's actually not impossible.
No.
I've seen people in their second full year close 100 million in listings. But you had better have your everything dialed in and you'd better track this really closely because for you in Beverlywood, for you to get 20 listings that are averaging $5 million, right? There are only specific parts of Beverlywood where you're gonna get that, right? And you're probably talking new construction, right? So like, if you set this goal and that's what you're gonna operate off of, then all the rest of this stuff needs to make sense. Right? So if you start out with 0 people that know you, that have a property that's worth $5 million, then you're starting behind the 8 ball. It's a bit of an uphill battle, right?
Yeah.
So
how do you come up with the goal is what you're
I mean, yeah,
saying?
what realistic goal we should make to start with? I
Yeah.
mean, one list in a month. I mean, I would like to make realistic goals to start with.
Yeah,
and
I would,
so-
I mean, 1 listing a month is a really good goal.
Okay,
In this neighborhood, that's plenty of money to
yeah,
feed yourself.
and I would imagine it would increase each
Yeah.
year. but-
Yeah, I would say 1 listing a month.
Okay.
For me, my personal business goal is to add 12 promoters per month.
Okay.
I want to introduce myself to 3 people, right, that are related in some way, shape, or form to a client of mine.
Okay.
So I try to get referred to and introduced to 12 people per month.
Mhm.
It's not linear for me, like door knocking, cold calling, that's not I can't just say as long as I hit this, I'm going to grow by this much and my business is going to build by XYZ.
When you grow your business each year, what percentage pace do you grow?
When I first started, I doubled it every year
Oh,
for
you
the
did it?
first,
Wow, okay.
I guess, 4 years or something like that. Yeah, it's not doubling anymore. Maybe it could. But
So
yeah,
good, yeah.
but yeah, so like, in most places, the model is that you should try to double your income every single year. Yeah. I mean, your expenses are gonna grow as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And like,
Right.
more time or whatever, but like, a good goal should be to try to double your income every single year. So if you've done 0 this year, like, yeah, you're not gonna do double 0, right? But I tell everyone in your first year, you should really, really try and get 6 listings. In your second year, you should try to get 12. So this is his mission, right? He's gonna do this, the vision, right? Values, beliefs, and perspective is everything else that we're sort of discussing. So like, how are you actually going to get there? Right, is like what the vision looks like, the values, what are you willing to do to get there? How are you going to do this? What is your like presentation or proposition? So why should someone list it with you instead of with me?
Obviously, there'd be a trust factor
Okay,
in it.
okay.
If they would know me.
Because they can trust you, they know you. Okay.
Yeah, and just, following up when you say you would, builds also the trust.
For sure.
Knowledge, definitely.
Okay. So, when you say knowledge, what do you mean?
Just saying, being knowledgeable of the particular area where you're farming.
Okay, so like, here's a challenge that you guys are gonna face a lot of. Tell me about the last property you sold. So this client says, oh, hey, I know you, I like you, you sound like a good guy. I call you, you pick up the phone, I text you text me right back, right? Seems like you know about Beverlywood, but what's the last deal that you sold out here? Right? What are you gonna say? You're gonna say, my partner and I sold 18 properties last year, right? Like that's one big obstacle that you guys have to overcome is what's the last thing that you sold or how many of these have you sold? I went on a listing presentation 2 weeks ago and I'm battling with this big agent. Her name's Sally Foster Jones. She probably sells more I think she's probably the highest selling female real estate agent in maybe in the United States. Pretty close.
Maybe Jade.
What?
Jade Mills maybe.
Yeah, I think she is.
Sally did $1 billion last year, her team. So like Sally's got a bigger, broader team than Jade does.
Sally's a team. Jade is not.
Sally is a huge team. Jade is wildly successful. So I'm competing with Sally. My value proposition, right, is just a little bit different. It's that, hey, listen, I'm gonna be the person that's gonna show this home, right? It's gonna be me. If you hire Sally Foster Jones, it's not gonna be Sally. Sally's not showing up every weekend, right? So like, that's my pitch against Sally Foster Jones, right? She's got this huge career, this gigantic database, this massive team behind her and staff and agents and track record. She spent probably $1 million a year on marketing and advertising, branding, events and stuff like that. So like, why should she hire me? My value proposition is that I'm gonna handle all of it myself. And I'm better than Sally's transaction coordinator, listing coordinator, or marketing person. Right? I have to see how it's gonna play out. The home's not built yet, but your value proposition and presentation is important, not just for you hitting your goals, but it's gonna end up kind of defining who you are, right? And it's gonna lead you into a certain particular pool of clientele that are hopefully gonna launch your business even farther, right? So Josh would identify me as this very analytical, finance-oriented agent, right? And that's probably what most of my clients would say. We've got a big group of investors that will just say, hey, I'll buy any deal like this, and if you find it, then I'll buy it, right? But I'm struggling going up against Sally Forster Jones with this listing because she sold 15 homes in the Mulholland Estates and I've sold 0, right? So like identifying this stuff and getting behind it is important, and we'll cover it a little bit more. I just wanted to talk a little bit about why this is such an important part. My belief, I actually do believe that I could underwrite that home better than Sally could, because I've probably underwritten more property. But do I have the database of potential buyers ready to like drop $10 million on the house? Absolutely not.
What does underwriting mean?
Underwriting's, yeah, that's okay. So underwriting's valuations, right? It's looking at a property and deciding what it's worth, basically, right? So you pull comps, you do all these other things. We'll cover a lot of it, but when I say underwriting, what I mean is your analysis that helps determine the value for the property. Okay? So if I say underwrite, I mean like you're gonna look at comps, you're gonna do all that stuff and try to determine what the value is. So I got a chance on this one because it's like half completed, it's not a finished product. So you have to be able to like understand what the permits and everything that's gonna cost. I have a chance, but we'll see. My value presentation is not complete because I don't have the book of business to substantiate a $10 million listing in Mulholland Estates yet, but we'll see. So what do you guys think? Let's just go around the room real quick. What is your greatest strength that's gonna allow you to be successful in real estate?
Microphone.
Oh, microphone.
It should be floating.
Toss that over the room. Let's go around the room. real quick.
You repeat the question again?
What do you think is the greatest asset that you can offer clients that's also gonna end up making you a bunch of money in this industry?
I'd say being knowledgeable of the subject property, for sure.
Okay. So you're gonna do all the deep diving into your new listing. You're gonna look at everything.
Everything.
Okay, all right, that's good. Me. And we can all say we're all gonna do all these things, but I want to hear what you think your greatest asset is.
Being persistent.
Okay, go ahead and pass it.
With me, it's definitely like relationship building. Yeah.
Define that a little bit better.
Well, just meeting people and convincing them to,
You're gonna specialize in this piece, is what you're saying,
yeah,
right? Everyone that you know is gonna like you. You're a likable person.
yeah.
Okay, all right, go ahead, pass it.
Being extremely detail oriented and then using my past.
No one thing.
experience. Oh, okay.
You're gonna be detail oriented.
Yes. detail
In what
oriented.
way? How's that gonna add value to the client?
By making sure nothing falls through the cracks.
Okay, you're gonna safeguard the transaction.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I think the confidence part is what my main, like, biggest asset.
You don't have a problem. You're gonna walk right up and be like, I'm gonna sell this.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's great. Absolutely. She was just right through me too. Okay, that's good. Okay, go ahead and pass the microphone. If you would. Oh, you got your own?
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
I guess my biggest positive point would be to just know the particular area and be able to refer back if they ask questions about properties in the
So
area.
you're gonna become an expert in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I'd say for me to be, it's gonna be the follow-up with people I know, my family and friends and investors, and also build a relationship with some friends
One
as
thing.
well.
Just
Yes,
one. What's the best thing that you got going? Did you say that you own property with your
Yes.
husband? Okay, that is the best thing that you have going, right? Because your perspective is gonna be different as an agent,
okay.
right? The best multifamily agents I know own a lot of multifamily, and they deal with it a lot,
Oh, okay.
right? The pain points that sellers or investors have, right, is something that you're gonna be uniquely
So I have knowledge.
capable of dealing with and managing, right?
Mhm.
So with Michael's client, right, if you're in, go ahead. If you're a single family flipper and you have experience with that, that's gonna be really valuable to securing that listing.
Investors more than people.
Investors,
Yeah.
okay, good.
Maybe I should.
I'd probably say organizational skills.
Organizational skills, okay. So you think like building this out, right, or,
Because I'm already really good at building relationships and most people, if you asked me that question, if I had 100 people, I would say 95 people would trust me.
oh, that's amazing.
Because like, I think also just like Angela, like I'm very confident and people
Okay.
like know like what I say is gonna happen. Like I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna like help during the whole process. So my thing is more organizational skills so nothing falls through the cracks.
Okay, okay,
When you
cool.
come in with confidence, I just feel like they might know you, they might not like you, but you gonna respect it.
That's
So
true.
it's like,
Yeah,
Also, when you're more confident, it's like they're gonna want to get to know you.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
yeah, that happens too.
Like knowing
Right.
the numbers. well.
My partner, this guy Nate Barnes that you guys will meet tomorrow is gonna teach. His best characteristic is organization. And when something gets weird in an escrow or like something gets, Nate is like 5 steps up ahead of it. He is so organized and detail oriented that it's like, we open escrow and we just opened escrow on a big retail deal, $7 million to buy baby in Yorba Linda. And Nate was like, I already know we're gonna have a problem with this, and that. I was like, no, we can't, we're good. We can just like, let's go right through this, I'm gonna make calls. And Nate called it all out. He goes, we're gonna have these 3 issues, right? Here's my plan for how we're going to address them. And he drafted it all in this big, really nice, neat, organized email, sent it to the buyer and was like, these are the challenges, these are our plans for overcoming them. We're ready to explain this to you and pitch this to you, and it's big value add. I'm not as organized in that way, right? Nate would say he needs to spend more time developing and cultivating relationships. And I would say I need to spend more time getting organized. So it's good, all you guys have identified like, hey, these are the things that we're good at, right? So then we'll talk later about where you think you're gonna excel along this process and how you can, you know, prevent booby traps or speed bumps from happening for each of you individually here, right? So for the people in the room that are really confident, you're gonna have a lot of this, right? You're gonna introduce yourself to a lot of people. They're all gonna know what you're doing, right? They're gonna like you, and they're gonna trust you. My former partner was like super talented salesperson. You could go through this, know, like, trust, and get listing agreements over the phone. Just super slick talker, very talented salesperson. He also had a tremendous amount of people that knew him, like big flashy suit, big knot, fiery red hair, loud, you know, he's like drew a lot of attention to himself, super confident, and his career took off, right? He hit a barrier when he was trying to build a team, and you know, he just got stuck at that like $2.2 million mark. He's like, I don't have more time to be able to do this. So he partnered up with my buddy Nate, who you guys will meet, and Nate got him organized. And then I helped a little bit more, and the team went boom, boom, boom. And that one really talented salesperson, once he got organized, now is doing like 5 and 6 million a year in commission. You know, I have to get like out of the habit of saying like GCI or volume, you know, residential, when people say I've sold 20 million this year, like for me, that's not important. I want to know the fees, you know, how much they make. Like, it's nice that you sold 60 million, but how much did you make, you know? So that's good. You guys have identified those, right? We talked a little bit about limiting beliefs. Perspective is really important. I'm gonna say, like, do not try to compare yourself to anyone in the industry. Do not compare yourself to people on your team. Do not compare yourself to anybody other than yourself, right? No one's gonna really hold you accountable like you will for yourself. And no one's gonna bear all of the responsibility other than you, right? So your perspective around your mission, your vision, your values, beliefs, how you're gonna get there, what you're good at, and what you know might be an area of opportunity for you, right? The better you can take a step back and look at your whole business and understand what's happening, then the easier it's gonna be for you to move forward. Okay. Let's get into, we're gonna skip the KW technology because I'm not gonna talk about command. Don't wanna talk about profit share. Let's go to, oh, yeah, this is perfect. Okay, your big why. So this is supposed to be, in a short way to express it, what gets you out of bed in the morning, right? So what's the reason that you're actually doing this, right? Like, why are you willing to put the time in to go do this? Does anyone know their big why? You like to eat? Okay, but you don't need to get up and work 10 hours a day as a real estate agent just to feed yourself.
Yeah, but it might be something that you like doing.
Okay, going out to eat, you mean?
No.
Being a real estate agent? Okay, but why? What's the like fundamental reason that you want to do it? Let's use a really bad example and talk about like a young person that went to an Ivy League school that got an investment banking job. Why would you get an investment banking job out of school? Because you love it, but what do you really, do you think people, do you think people really love spending 10 hours a day in an Excel workbook?
Well, I wake up and go on with my day because I would like to have this discipline.
Okay, why? You want the discipline so that
That's what I go by all my
that's
life.
what you go by.
Yeah.
You just want an organized
I
discipline.
just
day.
like to be organized and disciplined.
But what's that have to do with real estate? You do anything else? You tell me, what gets you up? Okay, travel?
Like to
That's
make goals.
that's what you want to do. That's what you're gonna do with all your
It's
extra
your
money,
goal.
right?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, you too, okay.
Yeah.
Mine is so that I can have a passive and relaxed retirement. That's my whole reason to do this. Right, it's like, I want my passive income to overshadow, right, my annual income as fast as possible. I don't live a very expensive lifestyle. I grew up on like the fringe of a nice area. And I saw the people that were the happiest were the ones that had the most free time at a younger age. That is my big why. You know, I don't have a really nice car. I don't spend a lot of money on other things. I buy property because my reason to get there as fast as I can is if I decide to have kids someday, I don't want to be like working 14 hours a day. I want to have to do, I want to be the happiest people that I saw, which are the ones that were like in their early 50s, like on the golf course or doing whatever else they wanted, or traveling or doing whatever. I want to get $250,000 a year in passive income as fast as I can. That's what gets me up and gets me going, right? Does anyone else know their big why? We can talk a little bit more about why that's so important to me if you want, but like, not really. I want to hear from you guys. What's your big why?
My plan is to invest, and then that way I can have some sort of assets and horizontal income, maybe some
Okay.
passive income. So that
Okay.
way I don't have to be working all the time because I don't.
Because you want to what?
Eventually I want to move out of this country, so
Okay.
I want to be able to do that.
That's a great one. I haven't heard, no one's ever told me that before, but I love it. What country do you want to go to?
I don't know yet,
Okay,
but I know I want a house.
which is not LA.
Oh, definitely not. I'm not from here. I'm not from
Okay,
here.
where are you from?
I've lived in 4 states and 4 countries, so I don't know how to answer that. I've been like in a lot of places.
Well, you could name the 4 countries for a start.
US, US, Canada, Mexico, and Hong Kong.
Okay, wow, okay. And you want to go, you want to get out
Yeah, so
so
like,
that what?
I don't know, it's just a different lifestyle.
So that you can slow down and be around other people that are similarly minded
Because I
and
feel like
relaxed.
in the US, what is it? You live to work rather than, or wait, you work to live rather than you like live to work or whatever saying that is. It's
Sure.
opposite in a lot of other countries
Okay,
where you can actually enjoy life.
okay.
So-
I can sympathize with that.
Yeah.
Anyone else know their big why? For some people, it's their kids, right? For some people, it's,
My dog.
yeah, their dog. right?
My dog really wants.
Some
to see
people
the
love
mountains.
surfing and they want to get to a point where they can surf every day. Some people love golf. Some people got family members that they're gonna have to take care of when they get older, right? Financial freedom,
Whatever I wanna do, do whatever I wanna do, when I wanna do it.
you want
And everybody.
F you money. Can I swear? No, okay.
I think so, I'll
Okay.
put 21.
So that you can what though?
So I can do whatever I want, when I want.
Okay.
It's literally-
That's what you want. You want enough money to be like, don't have to look at the price tag. I'm gonna walk down Beverly Boulevard and eat wherever I want and not care.
If that's what I feel like doing that day when I wake up. If I feel like being up and being like.
And you want no one to
there.
tell you what to do. Okay. Not your accountant, nobody. Okay.
Maybe.
Okay,
Give me
maybe.
Give me a little advice, so I
Okay.
get carried away.
Okay, and what's your plan to get there? And how long are you gonna give yourself?
Oh, God, that's a real question.
These are the real questions, right?
I definitely think, well, I know I'll get there through real estate, how, where I'm still learning that.
Okay,
It's a day by day thing.
okay, okay.
Trial and error.
So remember that quote? I kind of forgot, but I remember it.
Um,
A goal without a plan
mhm.
is a wish.
We're in the.
You're like, I'm just gonna go do it.
No.
It's just
Well,
gonna happen.
what I say, like, with the confidence part, that kind of goes from like just knowing your stuff. So it's a buildup. It's not just
For
coming in
sure.
and be like, hey, I'm gonna do this. Like, okay, well, how?
I agree.
So I want to build up to have that confidence. That way I can gain that trust and then be
Okay.
successful. So right now I'm in the really knowing my like stuff, since we can't curse stage.
Sure.
And that's gonna, I feel like, build my confidence. But I kind of get stuck between a hard, like rock and a hard place, just because like I've always been the type that unless I'm perfect and know every single thing about it, I'm not gonna perform or I'm not gonna talk about it. So I think that's gonna be the hardest like obstacle that I have in this, because I have to balance out the action with like gaining knowledge. So that's my biggest setback for
Okay.
sure.
Can we get them disc profiles?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, what is
Okay, will you just ask Josh for me?
Yeah.
So the disc profile is something that it's a personality test. basically. Okay, I know.
Kristen said that she took the disc one and it said she was gonna be a horrible real estate agent and she just retook it.
Who said that?
Kristen.
Okay.
And now it says something completely different.
Oh, okay, yeah. So what you alluded to, right, the disc profile, it's basically 4 personality types. And you can be different measures of each of them, right? The D is the driver, right? So that's my fiery red hair friend that's just gonna make the calls and he's just gonna make it happen no matter what. The C is for control, right? So that's someone that's a little bit like, hey, I'm not just gonna jump into the deep end. I gotta like understand how things move and how things work. That's important to me before I just go for it.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what the I and the S are, to be honest, because my D and my C are so high. I'm a C, D. So like, I am a driver. I have a lot of those characteristics, but for me, I have to know where I'm going and what I'm working on, right? The INS has something to do with like people liking you and you caring about social, and the I is like intuition or something. It's like how much of a people person, but I'm not the people person down here. I'm a driver and a control, right? So like maybe we could, I'll explore that a little bit with you guys next time, but that's also gonna become part of your value proposition. It's gonna I's influence. So like, is it important to you that everyone in the room likes you? The S is more like, what's your willingness, like how much of an extrovert are you? Right, and so like that disc profile, maybe Kristen did, or I believe you, she took it and said she's not gonna be a good real estate agent, now she is. But Kristen's gonna have a lot more control, right? She gets into the weeds with like the contracts and paperwork, she digs that stuff. And she uses that as part of her value proposition. And I've heard her introduce herself to people that way. Like, hey, I'm like, don't worry, I've got the paperwork and the contracts down. I teach this shit. Like I've heard her.
She's more on the technical side.
Yeah, she's more on the technical side, right? So I'm gonna ask you guys to all fill this out and I'll email it to you, right? Just before tomorrow, right? It's gonna be like a little bit of an introspective piece. You might not know the questions to all this stuff, but the reason that you start with the big why is because you should ultimately be able to tie all of your actions back to why you're really doing this, you know? Like, it's so that you can buy property, so that you can have more free time, so that you can move out of the country, so that you can something, right? Because if it's not your big why, if it's just like, I just want to make a couple $100 grand, you're gonna find yourself not being as efficient and effective with your time as you could. Profit goal, right? Like we talked about that a little bit, how many transactions you're gonna need, working through that. A lot of this stuff blends itself together. SMART database, has anyone heard of what a SMART goal is before? It's an acronym.
Yes.
Right now. So someone give me a goal. Anybody? Say anything. What's that? Buy a car. That's a great.
Specific measurement. I don't remember all of them.
Say it again.
I don't remember all of them, but I remember like the different aspects. So the S, I remember it needs to be like specific, like I want to make money. Okay, how much you want to make? This is
Perfect.
specific.
Okay, and what's the M?
It's measurement, that you have any way to know if you reach your goal or not.
Okay, perfect. And what's next?
I don't remember.
That's okay.
Attainable.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you another one. So attainable, or actually, sorry, it is attainable.
Oh, I remember, I think it's like relevant. It's like
Yep, so for the R, there's actually 2 that I like. Is it realistic? And is it relevant? Right, and
and I
then,
believe the last one is like timing.
that's right, time. So these are SMART goals. So buy a car. Does it qualify for any of these? Let's make this a little bit more specific. What would you say?
Okay. Yeah, I want to buy a car. I want to buy like whatever, Lexus Jeep.
Okay, we can still do better than that. Get more specific.
White color, 2023 with like, I don't know, like special wheels, whatever.
Okay, so let's call it a white, she said Lexus, right? So you want a white 2023 GS 300.
Yes.
600 if we're gonna do it. Okay, all right, now let's make that measurable. A little abstract for the car, how are we gonna do that?
With cars, if I get it or not, usually like if I will get the car or not, but usually if someone say like, I don't know, like, I want to be skinny, so measurement would be, okay, I want to lose like 5 pounds or whatever it is, number
Right.
measure.
So for the car, we're gonna say, do you own it?
Yeah,
The price. Is that attainable?
I believe so.
It's specific to the price, goes a little weird. Measurable will be like, do you have the money to do it, right? But is it attainable?
Hmm,
Who's speaking now? What's your name? Oh, Amit. Okay.
yeah, I'm not talking, someone else
Okay.
can continue from here. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So is it attainable?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I mean, well, we'll see, right? It depends on this thing. The last one, fine, right? If we want to buy this in a year, right, is that doable? Yeah, are we gonna lease it? It's really doable, right? But so let's get more specific about it. We're gonna buy it, we're gonna own the car, right? So then measurable, you're gonna get into how much do I need down? What's my credit score? What's my monthly payment gonna be? You know, what am I gonna spend on the extended warranties and all those, okay? Is it attainable? Is it realistic? Right, that has to do with the time, that has to do with the measurable, or is it relevant? I would say, yeah, I'd say sure. Okay, but now let's work through this with a different goal. Let's use a real estate goal for this. Right? I want to buy a 4-unit. Right? We're gonna say, I want to buy a 4-plex. Right? Not very specific. Where's the 4-plex? How much is it gonna cost? Can I do it? So let's say someone give me a 4-plex scenario here. For investor.
Fourplex, like where?
Mhm.
Fourplex on Olympic and La Brea?
Okay, Olympic and La Brea. And now let's get even more specific.
Square footage.
Yeah, okay, so we
How many
want,
units?
we want 4 1-1s on Olympic and La Brea.
2 1s, 1 1.
Okay, 4 2-1s. Okay. And we want them to be, what, at least 1,100 square feet each?
Is the have to bathroom?
Okay, well, no, we said they're 2-1, so they got one. more. Okay. Is it measurable? It's gonna be whether or not, like, the important part here is if we're just doing to like purchase some asset at one time, then this is gonna be like, are you tracking it? Are you trending towards that? Right? So how much is a 4-plex on Olympic and La Brea with 4 2-1s, they're 1,100 square feet each?
2.8.
2.8?
Maybe 700 a door, maybe
Okay.
600.
Depends on the rents, right? And deferred maintenance and all this other stuff, right? Okay, but I think that's probably a pretty good guess, right? So there, it's specific. If we say we want to do this in a year, then how much are we gonna need to buy this? How much is it gonna cost?
600. Down payment.
Yeah,
over there, you can get one for 3% down. No. I'm a
Nope.
lender guy,
No FHA loan.
20% down.
Let's say, okay, we're, for argument's sake, we're gonna say that we're gonna put 20% down. How much is that?
560.
560. So we need 560K. We're just using these scenarios,
Plus
right?
closing.
Okay, so 560K, and it's gonna be a year from now. So in 6 months, how much do we need? We need to have saved at least 280,000, right, to get halfway there? See, so like the measurable piece is like, can you track it if it's a one-time event? Okay, is this attainable on my own? If I got a 550 credit score and I'm a first-time home buyer and like, no, that's not really attainable, right? Like, is it realistic or relevant? Like, probably not with those metrics, right? So what would need to change to make this, and you guys are gonna run into buyers all the time. I wanna buy my first investment property. I wanna buy multifamily. I'll buy, you're gonna meet someone out and they're gonna say, yeah, I'll buy any multifamily up to 20 million. And I just need a 7 cap in 90210. So the cap rate is short for capitalization rate. This is the income that you're gonna receive on the property after all its expenses, assuming that you pay cash. So if we buy a 7 cap for $1 million, we're gonna cover this a lot more later when we get into like listing presentations and pitches and all this other stuff. If it's a 7 cap, that means you're gonna get 7% annually after expenses, right? How much money is that gonna be? 7 cap, 7% of $1 million,
70 grand.
70 Gs.
So you're netting that after.
Yep. So the cap rate, real short, we're gonna talk about it 100 times, right? Cap rate is your rate of return divided by the purchase price, right? Annually. So you have your net operating income. In this circumstance, it'd be $70,000. Why would we call it net operating income?
Right.
Not, I'm gonna say no, not the total money that's coming in.
After everything taken
That's
out.
after,
Annually,
that's
yeah.
annual.
Yeah, so what you were looking for would be like your gross operating income.
Right.
Right, so in this big scenario, right, where we're getting a property for $1 million and 70,000, this might be 100,000 a year in rent. Right, and then we're gonna get to all of these expenses. And then we're left with 70 grand, right? These 7 caps do not exist. Right? They do exist in California, they don't exist in Beverly Hills. Right? So I'm gonna give you like a real fast 30 seconds, or I'm gonna say 2 minutes on like just real estate investment. Just because you guys are like looking at me like, oh, this is learning this, right? So there's an inverse relationship between equity growth, assume, right? And cash flow. So better cash flow is going to mean a high cap rate. Because what's the cap rate? It's your rate of return. Your rate of return annually after all of your expenses, right? So if we have a 7 cap where we spend $1 million, after all the expenses, we're gonna be left with 70 grand, right? Remember I said this is an inverse relationship. It's on a spectrum, right? If we have a low cap rate, then that means we're planning on equity growth. And when I say equity growth or equity development, what I mean is that presumably, if you spend $1 million over here on a 2 cap, $1 million. On 7 cap. So January 1st, we put $1 million into a 2 cap property, right? What are interest rates right now, guys?
6.8.
For an investment property, depends on where you're at, let's call it 7, right? So we're gonna buy a property for $1 million, it's gonna generate $20,000 a year. Right, because it's a 2 cap. On this one, we're getting 70,000 a year. Why would someone buy a 2 cap when they could buy a 7 cap?
They're looking for long-term investments.
Yeah. So long-term, we'll also call these trophy properties. What do you do with the trophy after you win it? You put it on the shelf, and then what do? You just leave it there. It just looks pretty, right? You don't sell it, you don't use it for anything. Trophy property. Low cap rate means we're planning on this, the value on paper growing over time. And that's more important to some investors than plunking our $1 million down somewhere else, right? And getting higher cash flow, right? So this 2 cap would be like a Beverly Hills single family rental. You can expect to get a 2 cap, meaning if I spent $10 million on a home in Beverly Hills, when it's all said and done, after all the expenses and rents and everything like that, you're probably looking at a 2% return, which is a problem right now because it costs you 7% to borrow. Right? You're borrowing money at 7% and your investment is only performing at 2%. Problem, right? So what's that mean we'd have to do? Put a lot more down or buy it cash, right? Because the bank, if it's an investment property, wants to see that it cash flows. Over here, this would be like an 8-unit in Lancaster. You go away from the beach, non-prime real estate areas. I've got 2 single-family rentals in Lake Elsinore. They're like 6.8 caps. Because you can buy them for 400 grand. And when it's all said and done, I'm getting almost a 7 cap on those single-family rentals in Lake Elsinore. But in 5 years, this property in Beverly Hills is probably going to appreciate at 10% a year, historically speaking, right? My single family rentals in Lake Elsinore are going to be worth about the same next year, right? So it's a give and take between long-term holds, trophy properties, right? Where we're planning on the equity developing over time, and shorter term investments or cash flow investments where the equity is probably not going to grow. The value of that underlying real estate and the improvements, the building is not going to grow as fast. So what's an investment in between a single family rental in the flats, right? And a 6-unit in Lancaster? What's something that's maybe like a little bit better real estate, right, than the Lancaster property, a little bit better cash flow than the Beverly Hills property? Maybe something like Costa Mesa, right? Well, land in Costa Mesa is not as valuable, right? We don't have the same density problem that you have in Beverly Hills, but like Costa Mesa, the value on paper is going to continue to grow, I believe, right? Better than Lancaster, but it's
What
about,
not going to
like,
get you the
Culver
same
City?
cash flow that we're going to get in Lancaster. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So just like, without getting too much more into it, because I've already spent too much time on it. When you're talking to investors, or when you're looking at real estate, or when you're analyzing your listing that's coming up, right? It's important for you to know what that could lease for, right? And what cap rate could someone expect to pay? Because you're gonna have investors walk through that open house a lot. You're gonna have a lot of Israeli people that walk through there, and you're gonna have a lot of Persian people that walk through there that are gonna argue with you about pricing, right? And I would guess that 30 to 40% of the people you talk to in that neighborhood are gonna be looking to purchase that and hold it. And if you understand what cap rates are in that neighborhood, then you can understand what those people will expect to pay for it, right? Is an investor gonna pay the highest price for his single family listing in Beverlywood, or some family that wants to go live there?
Family.
Why?
I don't know if the investor's gonna pay like top dollar. I feel like he'll look for a good deal.
Yeah, because they still have to pour more money.
But if someone really, really wants to live there, like, for whatever reason, they're gonna.
They'll spend because they see the memories.
Owner users in the single family market will always pay the most. Unless there's some really weird caveat, right? There's some additional value off the books to that investor. Is that a real estate investor that lives across the street? Is gonna gobble that up and lease it out until his kids grow up, and then he's gonna put them in there? You know, more times than not, the highest paying buyer, particularly in single family, is gonna be a family that wants to go live there, right? And are they gonna pay more for turnkey? Are they gonna pay more for something like your listing that's gonna need a bunch of work? Right? They pay a super premium for turnkey property. Okay. Does anyone have like a fast question on cap rates? We're gonna cover it a lot, because my goal at the end of this course is for you guys to understand the investment side, because that's how you want to talk to buyers and sellers when you're in the market. I had not sold a single family property until 2018. I went on recommendation of a client to evaluate her single family home, and that's how I got the listing. My business is naturally kind of like a little bit more analytical, it's a little bit more from an investment perspective, right? And that's how I secure listings. It's not because I've been doing it for like 20 years and I have these big broad relationships and, you know, a lot of clients, I don't know a lot of people that know me and whatever. But my goal at the end of the course is for you guys to look at something, or to at least be able to carry the conversation with investors about every different asset class. So if you speak to someone on the street and they say, hey, I own multifamily, and they ask you for a 7 cap in Beverly Hills, I want you to know that that's crazy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any questions about that for now? Okay. Total tangent. I'm still gonna send this to you guys, and I do want you to fill this out as best you can before tomorrow. Nate's gonna review them with you. He's gonna talk about your goals. If you're not comfortable sharing like your income goals like that, like, that's fine. But I'm gonna say definitely fill these out, and you're gonna go through these with you guys to start the class tomorrow. Any questions on this? Okay, basically just goal setting, right? And also through the course, other than teaching you how investments work, we're gonna dial this in so that hopefully you have a roadmap for yourself. And you don't just get through Ignite and you're still wondering what you're supposed to do every single day. Does that make sense? Okay. All that goal planning Nate's gonna do with you guys tomorrow. Has anyone, and we're gonna talk about this a lot, and it's very on brand to talk about having an aha moment. Have you guys heard anything today from me or from anyone else in the class that you've been like, okay, wow, I've got to focus on this, or this is something that I didn't know, or something that I will need to work on?
The cap rate.
The cap rate, okay? The investment side, if you didn't study finance or accounting or whatever, is a challenge for a lot of people if they're not that comfortable with it. Nate is extremely well qualified to teach it to you, and I'm gonna do it as well. Okay? So the investment side is important. For you, it's very important. You got a listing coming up, right? And if buyers walk straight up to you, because particularly in that community, they know to go direct. If you get a listing in Beverlywood, your odds of double ending it are astronomically higher than they are in other places. It's a sophisticated clientele. There are a lot of real estate families in Beverlywood. There's gonna be a lot of people that go through there, and the more prepared you are for those conversations, the more likely you're gonna get those people to write an offer for you and quickly. So maybe I'll have Nate run through some of that with your actual property tomorrow.
Okay.
But with your, is it Laurent? What's his name? Your.
Laurent.
Laurent,
Yeah.
right? Like, you gotta get way down in there. Show up with all that stuff, and he'll show you how to kind of walk through that.
Okay.
Any aha moments, anything that you guys are like, okay, other than the investment stuff, that made you feel like, oh, we've got to work on some things, like, any other questions that you guys have for today?
I mean, what clients typically ask when they're trying to invest?
When,
Typical questions of clients.
yeah, so like, the first thing that you'll want to ask any investor is you have to understand their parameters before you can even start with negotiation. So we'll just kind of wrap this up with me talking about what my process looks like. And I learned this from the person that I would consider to be probably the best broker in LA County. He's a retail broker, means he sells like stores. Well, he does some development now, but his name's Brandon Michaels. He's at Marks and Millichap. He probably does, I don't know, between 6 and 8 million a year in commissions for the last 20 years. So if you're gonna talk to an investor, this is the most important part. You're gonna get this all the time. I'll buy any multifamily up to 20 million anywhere in LA, right? Send me the deals. But we talked about setting SMART goals, right? And we're gonna work on what my workflow looks like for clients when I have these conversations. And the first thing is always geography, because geography is gonna determine your cap rate, it's gonna determine affordability, it's gonna determine financing, it's gonna determine like your total opportunity, right? So anywhere in LA, any multifamily up to 20 million, you can't even get started, right? What if we said geography? Someone give me a territory. What you want here is north, west, south, and east boundaries. And then we also want, it's kind of falls in there, exclusions. So I asked for a multifamily deal. She said Olympic and La Brea, right? He said 2.8 million. So where are you willing to go? How far north, how far east, right? Because if they said I want a 7 cap, I'll buy anything up to $20 million, great. So you'll buy in Lancaster? You'll buy in Lake Elsinore? Well, no. They don't have property management out there or whatever. So you have to set these boundaries and then you're gonna expand on them a little bit. So someone give me a northwest, south, and east boundary so that we can start with the territory.
West LA.
West LA is too broad.
Like Highland,
Okay, on which side? Is Highland the north boundary?
like stay west of Highland.
Let's do a one that's a little bit easy to understand. So our northern boundary is gonna be Santa Monica Boulevard. Okay, our southern boundary is gonna be Olympic, I like that. Okay. What are we gonna use to the east? Not too big.
Beverly Glen,
Western, let's go a little farther west than that.
Beverly
Why am I
Glen.
telling you to go farther west of Western?
Means you want to stay, wait, west of Western, you want to stay on the west side? Can we put Highland? West of Highland?
Beverly Glen,
One more time?
Beverly Glen.
I like that actually as a Western.
It sounds like my address, all the information.
Okay. So what's in this pocket really?
What's the last one?
Does Beverlywood fall in here?
No.
Too far west, okay? Someone tell me their favorite place to eat in this boundary.
Creation.
Someone else.
What is the last one? What is number 4?
Beverly Glen is as far west as you're allowed to go.
Oh, so what's the third one?
Highland is the farthest east,
Okay, thank you.
and Olympic on the south. So mine's gonna be Javier's. You guys been to Javier's? Just outside of Beverly, just east of Beverly Glen. We're definitely west of Highland. And it's on Santa Monica, kinda,
The mall, right?
the mall.
Right.
Yeah, the Century City Mall. It's a good spot.
Yeah, Javier's is the joint. Okay, I love it. So in here, we're gonna set this boundary with the client. They're gonna say it's gonna be here. And then you're going to actually draw it on the map, right? And you're gonna set a boundary just outside of this. But what do we want to exclude from here? If the person's buying a single family rental in this pocket, do you want it to be on Olympic? No,
Probably no.
probably not, right? So now we're gonna put all our exclusions in here.
Not on Main Road.
Not a main road, that's a great one. What else?
Near school, or not near school?
Probably not near a school. But we said it's a single family rental.
Right.
So not too far. Oh, still around that?
Not across the street from the
Those
school?
kids are loud,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, but sometimes being close to the school is great. Kids
But it's
can-
also, so like, I used to live in a quadplex on Olympic and La Brea, right across from the school, and you get a lot of homeless people hanging out there and like chasing people and kids
Right, so
screaming.
we're gonna say, no camps, how about that? And what else, what other kind of exclusions are we gonna have for a single family rental? As it relates to geography,
Not near like a big expressway or something.
we
I
don't
don't
wanna be
know.
near a train, you
Yeah.
don't want it to be in the flight path if you're in Westchester, you don't want all these things.
Not
Okay.
manufactured areas,
What's that?
like manufactured areas, commercial
Yep,
areas, not
Yeah,
being,
okay, so we're just gonna say like, no noise
you know,
or disturbances, right? Okay. What other exclusions that are not really gonna show up here? Right, if we're gonna buy a single family rental, do we want it to be a 2-2? Probably not. Probably at least 3, right? Is a 3-1 gonna work? Is that a good investment? No, I'm gonna say exclusions, right? We need a master suite. Sorry, I'm supposed to call this a primary suite. It's not politically correct. Anybody's master of anything. It's a primary suite. We need a primary suite. What do you need for kids? You need a tub.
Backyard,
You need a yard. How much yard?
enough to put a playground.
Okay, so how big is that?
16 by 16, I will say the minimum.
Well, 20 by 20, so we have a nice, easy 400 square feet. right?
Better.
What else do we need for our single family rental?
cul-de-sac,
That'd be ideal,
like,
right? Or but you're gonna have to pay a premium for it. So what's that gonna do to your cash flow? Do homes with cul-de-sacs sell for more or do they rent for more?
More.
Probably sell for more. So as an investment, you probably don't want the cul-de-sac. Because you're gonna pay a premium for it and the difference in the rent that you're gonna get is probably small. What else are we gonna need in this single family rental? Are we gonna get an updated kitchen in this neighborhood? We probably want some minor upgrades that you're willing to make as an investor, but not major upgrades. Right? And let's say we need the primary suite, it needs to be a 3-2. Right?
So it's key,
Say it again?
so it's key.
No.
Oh, turnkey, yeah.
No.
I'm gonna say you don't want it to be turnkey as an investor. Why not? Because who pays the most?
Honest.
Yeah, people that are gonna go live in it, right? You don't
No,
wanna
but
compete
you
with
could
them.
get higher rent by doing that.
Yeah, but your cash flow on paying that is gonna be a lot less. The best is like cosmetic upgrades, maybe like your house, would be perfect for an investor. Right? So what are other things that we want this to be? We want it to be at least certain number of square footage, right? Maybe
Garage.
we're gonna say it needs to be at least 1,200 square feet, right? The lot is gonna need to be at least what?
6,000.
Oh, that'd be great.
Maybe fine.
Okay, so let's say, oh, we probably need at least 4,500 square feet, right? To have enough space for our yard and everything else. Okay, and then now we're gonna get into this. Cap rate. And what are your expectations for cap rate?
2%.
2%, right? Maybe 3%, maybe 3.5%, whatever, right? But this is my workflow for when I meet a buyer. Someone says, I'm an investor, I'm here to invest. Say, where is it gonna be? This is the boundary for what it's gonna look like. What can we not, what are we automatically gonna exclude here?
Mhm.
This and this and this and this and this and this and this. What does it have to have? This. Okay, what does our cash flow need to look like? Right? And then how does that play a role in the financing? So someone says, I've got this, my wife's a big attorney and she wants, we want to buy an investment property. She just got a big bonus and we've got 600 grand in cash. And we want to buy single family. That's going to be lower on our cap rate scale, right? Because the single family equity is going to grow, right? If they wanted better cash flow on their 600 grand, they'd buy a bunch of units out in Lancaster. Make sense? So when someone does this and they say, hey, John, I've got this person who wants to be an investor. And after our team meeting, there's an agent in the office that said, hey, me and my husband got a couple $1 million. We want to get started. Where should we buy? And I said, what's your goal for the investment? Right? What's your cap rate? What do you want? How much management are you willing to do? Like, what are you trying to achieve? And she said, I just want to buy something and in 10 years look like it's worth a lot more money. I said, 2, 3, 4 unit in Orange County. And here's the guy that you should talk to. Because I know what she's thinking of trying to buy is not in LA. It's her first investment property. She's never managed property before. Gonna be dealing with rent control in Los Angeles. It's tough, it's hard. There's a lot of people that make a lot of money buying single family rentals or buying multifamily in LA, but if you really want to get after it, and it's your first venture, I would say don't plunk $1 million down into something that already has rent control issues, it's dealing with COVID and whatever. So I said, go to Orange County. But this is what the process would look like once she decides, I don't want to be in LA City. So now where are we going to go? You could go to Newport, low cap rate, right? Low cash flow. Or where could you go in Orange County? It's like just not quite Newport. You could go Fountain Valley. We could do Costa Mesa, right? Really high cap rate in Orange County, Santa Ana.
Not Laguna Beach.
Oh, Laguna Beach is even lower cap rate than Newport. Because that real estate's more expensive, the dirt.
Yeah.
You're paying for all that dirt. The dirt doesn't make you money.
It's like a trophy area.
Yeah, we would consider Laguna Beach trophy
My
property.
favorite.
Yeah, Laguna Beach is great. I love Laguna. So I'm gonna make sure you guys all get this. Fill it out before class tomorrow.
You're gonna email that to us.
I'll have to pull it down. Just that sheet. Yes.
Is that in the book?
I
Should
didn't
be.
see it.
It ought to be in the book. Yeah.
Do we
I
have to
reached out to
print this?
Brittany to get it. but-
I'll email it to you guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do we have to print it?
Well, you don't have to print it. You can write it down.
Okay.
But Nate's gonna talk to you guys about this tomorrow.
I will email it from you.
Or all. I just have to get the emails from them. We should have, we have everyone's email address, for sure, right?
I'll just use your first name.
Okay, so this is like a little bit of like a brainstorming session today, but I want you guys to focus on like, you have to develop your business, and then we'll get into all this. For you guys that wanna like do a 101 class or 201 class on like investing in real estate, we're totally gonna do that. And the reason that I think it's important that you do it is because it's gonna encourage you to become like a master of the product type that you are doing. If you knew how to underwrite and evaluate, right, underwriting is, if you knew how to price out the value of an 8-unit multifamily building, you'll know how to do a single family rental. Right? And so like when we balance cash flow and trophy property in your valuations and in your models and in your conversations, then as a means of understanding what stuff is worth, the only way to do that is to get all into the weeds about the data and information for every single item. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions for now before I just say like for today? No? Okay, cool. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, not the first, but the first time.
I knew these two.
Usually send you what person.
Oh, let's say. Oh, I didn't.
I actually. I'll check back to it.
Oh, it's like a little- oh my God.
Tonight. Does it have to be on the appointment?
Well, it's really nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's good too though. It's good. When you're like.
Thank you.
Yeah, see you. Oh, I won't be here tomorrow. Nate will be here. but-
At 2:00.
2:00, yeah. All right, see ya.
That's why I'm back.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Yeah.
California.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because I would have a good agent.
Oh, it's very near. Yes.
What part?
Like Henderson.
Okay, I used to live in Summerlin, but my house is really rich now. So, yeah.
Yeah, my friend lives there.
Oh, I love it. It's
Yeah.
like, it's getting like bigger though, like they have the casino they're building right there and they're building Lifetime, so it's been a lot more traffic than when I first moved there. But I love it. It's, I have a place there as well, yeah, but like Encino then, it's like right there.
Yeah, for sure. I won't see you tomorrow, but I'll see you Wednesday. Yeah, all right. See ya.
Share ways, it's attractive, sometimes you get 100,000 under market, like ARVs like a
I'll see you
good.
tomorrow. Cause I just wanna get that and get it out in the week. Cool. See you guys.
Work
Thank
on
you,
something.
Dawn.
I'm sure you guys have agents that you guys work with, but you never know. If something comes my way, like if a colleague is looking for a buyer and we're having trouble, then it's always good to have another contact, you know?
And if you want to call me and text me a name.
Yeah, I shall.
Yeah, this is me.
Nice to
Nice
meet you.
you.
Crystal, so nice to meet you.
Like I
I
said,
see ladies in the industry.
Yes.
I swear, like, oh, what we talking about? And I'm like, I feel like when people are searching for homes, that's what I'm saying. Could you just say something really quick? Show me your name, so I'm like, I think it's like a good- nice meeting you too.